Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome on Learn Grasshopper Live. We are continuing our series about programming in AEC. And today I have two amazing guests for those who are following Learn Grasshopper Lives. Sverre and Martin are well known. Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, nice and clear.
Perfect. Lots of people joined today's session. Good afternoon. Hello, Abdul. Hello, Mario. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Francisco, nice to see all of you. In 2 minutes, we are starting. So just let us know on the chat if you can hear us well. I will check on my side if everything is okay. If you just can let me know, let us know if you can hear us well, so we will start. Hear you loud and clear. That's good. Hello, Piotr. Przemek, cześć. Hello, nice to see you. And if you can just write on your chat what AI tools are you using today. I just listed most popular ones. If you are using ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini, just write in the chat. I'm really interested about what tools are you using. Sverre, maybe you can start. What is your favorite AI assistant right now?
Right now, it has to be Claude. I'm using Claude a lot.
Especially Claude is mostly for coding, right?
Yeah, mostly for coding. Claude for Python programming. I even use Claude for like Microsoft, like Fabric environments, where you have Copilot, but Claude for me is just way better.
And you, Martin?
Well, I am looking on this list, and well, definitely I am using a lot of Cursor right now. But in Cursor, you are choosing the AI model. So if I could choose the AI model, I would also go for Claude at the moment. I think it has the best. But Codex, it's also quite nice, in my opinion. So when I am losing the tokens on Claude, I am going to Codex then.
On the chat, we can see ChatGPT and Claude as well. I think Claude is winning Anthropic. So yeah, lots of great answers. But ChatGPT and Claude are the most. And for sure, we are going to show cool examples. We just wait 1 more minute and we will start. Everything. Hello, everyone. Nice to see all of you. More and more people are coming. All right. So we have 2 p.m. Central European time. So let's get started. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And as always, if you can give a like, it will help me to reach more people. Today's workshop, it will be about 2 hours. Will be Q&A session afterwards. So we are really open to your questions. Only registered users will get all materials and the recording. So yes, this session is recorded and we are going to share the video link with the recording. You can still register at learngrasshopper.com/AI for engineers. You can also scan this code. If you got already email with this link, so you are already will get the recording just after the workshop will be finished. So today you will get recording. We are just want to know that this recording will be available just for a few days after the premiere. So after it will land in my archive in my YouTube. And as always, these workshops, these webinars are made for you. And if you have any questions, so please let us know. What you will learn from this session. So we divided this session into parts. So first we will be a discussion where AI is the risk. So we have 4 topics there. Then we will show some cool examples, cool and practical examples of using AI. So you can also take it to your work. And today we have amazing guests, Marcin and Sfera. For those who are following Learn Grasshopper, they for sure know they've been my guests on workshops about vibe coding, about Python, about battle between C# and Python. Marcin and Sfera are both senior structure engineers and also connected with the university. Sfera made PhD defense last year, and Marcin is a professor at the Norwegian University, and both of them are the winners of both AAC Hackathon, Blockbox, and Hackathon for Speckle. So hello, nice to meet you. Maybe just one sentence about you, Sfera. What are you working with right now?
I would say 50-50 distribution between structures engineering, of course, mixing in some programming and computational design there, and also more the pure programming, trying to make our workflows more effective in the company. So both IT and engineering.
And you, Marcin, how you divide your work between university and working as a senior structure engineer?
Well, it's the spring semester, so the master student supervision, it's taking most of my time, as well as some new PhDs which I have right now. I'm doing less and less engineering, especially in this spring semesters. But I think 1 month ago I was involved in designing quite big structure in Trondheim. So well, I would say exactly as the contract is saying, 100 university, 20% extra for the consulting. So
as always, working 120%.
120%. It's how it should be.
Cool. Nice to have you both on this webinar. I'm really happy to have you on board and you can share your expertise about really interesting topic. For those who are first time on this live, my name is Krzysztof Wojsław. You can call me Chris. I'm a bridge designer who is now 100% or maybe also 120% on teaching engineers how to automate boring stuff and learn programming and have fun at work. So right now I'm 100% on teaching others. I have my YouTube channel and learning platform where we have almost 4,000 architects and engineers learning programming. So it's really fun to work in this area. Okay, but without further ado, we have great topic, and this is agenda for today. First, we are going to talk about AI when it becomes a risk. The second will be more practical. We are going to show you, in our opinion, best application of AI in AEC sector. Next, we are going to make a big opening of the programming in AEC training after 16 months is coming back to our platform. And at the end, we have Q&A session. And if you will have any questions related to the topics that we are going to discuss, we are going to answer them as soon as possible. If we are going to not have time to answer that in the meantime, we will wait until the end. All right, so let's start with the first one, when the AI becomes a risk. And when we discussed this topic with guys, we started with the privacy policy. And maybe we can jump to you, Sfera, when actually we can safely share with AI tools and what can must stay inside the company. You are working in the international design office. How do teams set clear rules that people actually follow? Because we know that everything we share, all the data can be stolen. We know that from social media. We know that also for all the AI tools. But maybe you can share some experience from the company you work when privacy matters.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if you know, but seagulls are actually my biggest fear. So that it really hit me in that image. It's I don't mind spiders or snakes, but seagulls, oh, really hate them. So yeah, suitable meme there. I think, and as you say, privacy is something that I think sometimes take a little bit lightly because kind of the nature of the AI model just being a chat gives us the illusion that we're kind of not sharing the data with anyone, but in reality, and especially if you're not paying for the service, it's your chat you're paying with or your data. So I try to just summarize briefly some tips on my opinions about what you should think about, especially if you're working in a company and using AI, because I think that's easy to forget something sometimes. And probably last year or two, companies has also become increasingly aware of this issue and have addressed it, having their own AI regulations internally. But I think before that, it was a little bit, nobody really knew how to handle it. So you see, so I think what the biggest difference here is between like the private personal accounts and the enterprise solutions. So if you go to Anthropic, OpenAI, GitHub Copilot, Microsoft, etc., if you're not using, or if your company is not paying for the enterprise solution, you can normally assume that it's not safe to share your data. So even though you're paying for, so say, GitHub Pro, Copilot Pro, on a personal level, so I don't know, it's $10, $12 a month. But if you read the privacy statements there, they don't explicitly tell you that they're not using your data for training. And of course, if you're doing like a home project, learning to program, that might be completely fine. But if you're working with client material, company-sensitive tools, it's really a security breach. So unless your company explicitly tells you that the tool you're using is company compliant with your AI policy, you should just assume that it's not. That is my opinion on that. So on a general level, unless you're told it's safe, assume it's not and use it with caution. And then you have kind of maybe three main levels of using AI, I think, within companies, at least in my experience. And the first one, and maybe, I guess, 80% of how people in companies today use AI, especially all the non-engineers, is just this prompting, coding, ChatGPT, Copilot. We're just talking with it. And there's also some best practices there regarding what you share with it, whether or not you're using a private or enterprise solution. Try to always keep in the back of your mind that there can be security breaches, data can leak, personal information can get stolen, even though you're paying for a subscription. So try to limit the amount of personal information you're leaving. So do you have to use names on colleagues, real email addresses, real project names, or can you kind of substitute them with fake ones like person A, person B, when you're talking with it, and then when you're doing your actual work, you start replacing with what you're actually needing. Of course, never tell it your passwords, email addresses, etc. Bank card information, definitely don't do that. And also try to consider what is strictly necessary. Which information do your Copilot chat need to do the work, and what can you leave out? So that's just a safety measure and best practice for everything, I think, regardless of whether you're not using a paid or a free subscription to your models. But especially if you're using a free one, just assume that whatever you tell it will be used for training. So leave all the important things outside. And then you have, should we say, kind of the next level. Many here probably uses it, and things start to get a little bit more complicated. Maybe you have like a GitHub repository with code. And this is rules that I would say apply to all coded projects, especially when you're sharing them with others within the company. So again, you would never share your password with a colleague. You're not allowed to. I think all companies have that policy, but I still see all the time that passwords, API tokens, keys are stored in hard-coded as variables within code. And one thing is sharing that with your colleague, but then if you're attaching an AI agent to that code, granting it access to read all the files, then you're basically sharing it with you don't know who. So again, when you're doing coding projects, don't hard code any like security sensitive information in that code. If you're doing local projects, giving your agent access, you should create like environment files. In Python, there are packages for handling that, which you store in a location where your agent don't have access, and then you import them as variables when you run your script. And if you're doing projects online on GitHub, Azure, etc., you can use key vaults, you can encrypt them so that only people who should have access can access them. Otherwise, they're imported at runtime and things are kept safe. Again, I think most people know this, but once you start programming, time is short. You really, I see people miss on this all the time. So just keep that in mind. And the third one, with this maybe doomsday mindset, is this agents which you have in the terminal. I don't know, have you tried these like CLI agents? I had one the last time where I did this open code programming for the terminal. This is something which I see maybe more expert users are running, but you can download and you can grant it access and launch it from the terminal. So this is an example with Claude. You can do it with Codex, and then you can grant it access to actually do operations on your machine. So in different folders. And here again, be really careful what you allow it to do. So even though it doesn't intend to harm anything, for instance, I've seen projects which are deleted by accident. It changes files, it deletes some files. And if you don't have backup, that project is gone. Or images, if you saved images on your personal project, or if you have a folder there, you want to automate something, suddenly all of your images are gone and you didn't have backup. Also, again, which folders and contexts does it have access to? You don't want to give it access to your whole computer. Try to limit it to the minimum amount of information possible that is needed to solve your tasks. And also, normally you have these built-in security that every time you're talking with the agent and it wants to run a command, it asks for permission by default. And I recommend, because it can be tempting if it's doing a lot of iterations, to just grant it like access throughout the entire session. But if you don't know what you're doing, keep it as that having to grant it access. Make sure that you know what you're agreeing to, because otherwise it can become a real pain trying to go back and solve the damage that was done. So I think those are my three main kind of recommendations for the AI. But most importantly, within companies, just ensure that you're complying with the AI regulations there. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's really cool. Lots of really practical knowledge. We have some comments. My company has officially registered for Copilot. Other AI platforms are restricted. So it's really important to check with your company what tools maybe they are enterprise license to use. All right. So it was great introduction to the topic. So I think we are on the same page that we are not going to share everything, like this seagull can steal everything from you. And now let's jump to the second topic, why AEC industry is harder for AI. For those who've been working with AI, they are maybe realize that answers fail more often than in the other stuff that you are doing. And Marcin, what is the problem here? Is the data, is the standards, or the formats? Why this is so big problem in the AEC industry?
Well, I think the whole discussion about why AI is harder for the AEC, we should start from the discussion about why we want AI in the AEC. And there is a huge amount of the information that we are not productive as the industry. That there is a plenty like the automotive industry, any other industry which is much more productive than we actually are. And no matter if I am agreeing that it's true or not, generally we want to have this AI because we want to do things faster. But faster doesn't mean better always. But if we are thinking about implementing AI for the AEC, we really have to take into account all those small details, but all of them will point to the uniqueness of the solutions which we are generally doing in the construction. We have the location of the building, the location of the structure, it's always unique. The national annexes which you are putting into the codes, it's always unique for each of the country. So some people are saying, okay, we don't have enough well-structured data. That's partially true to implement AI. But the second question would be like, okay, if we would have it, like what we would do with it. And the second thing is, can we really repeat those data in the different place? And I think all those aspects are making all those AI, because also AI, it's a very broad definition, and a lot of different algorithms are hidden under this AI definition. But the problem is that generally everything in our discipline is very unique and project based. Even the project created in the same location, in the same country, with the same assumptions, will be different just because the Eurocode has changed in the last 5 years. So the structures, and if we will take into account the buildings which were designed 20 years ago in the same location, well, the Eurocode 2 has changed so much that the minimum reinforcement needed for the slabs, it's probably the maximum which was used in the 60s. So that's something which some people are saying, yeah, we should have a lot of data, but actually the data from the 60s to design a structure right now will be useless. So we have the problem with generally the amount of the data, the quality of this data, the uniqueness of this data, and also the fragmentation of this data. So completely different will be things created also with the different software. And this is actually a very big point which all of us survived. Some of us are designing in Rhino and Grasshopper, some of us are designing in Revit, some of us are just structural engineers and we are working with the finite element method. And if you take into account how many formats we have to store the data, how many different analyses which we have to take into account when we are creating a building, well, that's very hard to somehow systematize. And actually, this defragmentation of the software, of the location, of the also discipline inside our discipline. So taking into account that generally the architectural education and the things which architects are doing, it's completely different way of approaching to the design than the structural engineers. Although we are designing exactly the same systems, we are working very often even in the same software like Revit. But anyway, we have completely two different methodologies and strategies to design. Other aspects of this lack of the AI implementation, it's obviously the intellectual property. Each of the building, it's designed by somebody, so you have a copyrights of this building. I am not sure if I want to share my designs to the others, although I am quite sure they were good designed, and I hope all of us have this the same feeling about our designs. But do we want to really share it? Is it? It's exactly the same issue which the musicians has with the Spotify. When somebody is using their music which they created and they are selling as theirs, and the AI it's using their stuff. So if we would go in this direction, maybe we should have some tantiums from the structures which we created in the past. Also, really big problem, it's the commercial competition. Generally, I am working in one consulting company, Sfera is in the other. You, Chris, were working in the another company. So all of us have a competition, and the better structure we create, this is making a huge problem with sharing all of this data and all of those information about the design. And I want to just maybe we can share the screen of my screen.
Yeah,
at least,
sure. You
for
can
a second.
please share it so I can do it. In the meantime, you can just share it. In the meantime, I can just show the graph that comes from
I
the.
hope you
just
see
let me
right now.
Marcin,
So
just let me make an
generally,
introduction.
when we are saving when we are saving the file, even in Rhino, we have a plenty of the different data types. And obviously the IGS, STP, it's used for the geometry, but we have also a little bit more beam-oriented, like IFC and so on. But even though a lot of those systems has a really big problem to be somehow properly filled with all of the information which we really need. So some of them are missing some section information, material information. Generally, each company has a different strategy to create the IFCs, to use the different software and so on. So although I am a great fan of the IFC and Beam as the standard, or not the standard, but more like a methodology to or to just send between participants of the design process of the files. I am practical in this aspect, and I know that you don't have always the time to really polish your data and send a perfect IFCs. But the thing which I want to talk about a little bit more, it's actually this report. It's a report from 2017. And when people are saying, well, we need more of the data from the real case scenarios, I am always in my mind, I am thinking about this report, because this report, it's about issues in either Finland or Sweden. I don't remember, one of those two, maybe both, looking on the flags in the report. And there was one winter which was having quite strong snow. Meaning it was for 2 weeks, very, very heavy snow. And actually, most of the designs, of course, they should survive it, but it was around 95% of the design value according to the Eurocode. And there was 127 cases of the failure. 53% was due to the wrong design and planning. And actually, you could think, okay, those were probably the old buildings. Something was not okay with the old buildings, but not. As you can see here, it was around 40% of the buildings designs in the last 2 years, so 2015 and 16, which have the failure. So not actually, although we can expect that in 2015 and 16 we have a similar tools as we have right now. So the problem was not actually in the new tools. So when people are saying, okay, we need more of the data, I'm rather asking the real data. I'm asking, okay, but the real data could also have the failure, because we are not creating prototypes like in other industries. We are not building a building and we are crashing it and and we have this real case data to compare with those designed one. Of course, I know then we have the digital twin, and a lot of big structures like the bridges have the systems run and operating, and we can compare what we design and what we actually have, and it's super good. But in most of the buildings, like 99%, we have no monitoring system at all. So keeping that in mind, I think the availability and access to the one common database, it's not actually the missing point. I would rather think about creating some kind of the better way of judging what does it mean a good design before we will start to use it. So
I'm not sure. Are you?
yeah,
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure, Chris, how much I should spend on explaining that, but
not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you at least.
Okay. I think that Martin, we cannot hear you. I can just maybe we can continue. Yeah, so we have some technical, but in the meantime, I can just show you the graph that comes from Anthropic. This graph came in March 2026, so just 1 week ago. And it shows really interesting stuff, because this graph shows the gap between what AI could theoretically do across different occupations. So, for example, as you can see, architecture in engineering. So the potential exposure, so we can see here, it's around 84%. And we can see that today we are on the like maybe 5 or 4%. So this is something that really shows like the huge potential of AI. So Anthropic have really great belief in what is coming into AEC industry. We can see computer and math on the left side. We can see that now more than 96% can be used for the AI. And today we have already almost 40%. So we see that some of the industry are managing to do that. Martin, can you hear us?
Yeah, now it's nice and clear. Sorry.
Okay.
I think the Bluetooth has disconnected for a second.
No worries. We can. Do you have any comments to this graph? Because we've been discussing why Anthropic has so much belief in architecture and engineering. Is about money?
I think it's about the money. Everybody see that this is a big part of the cake. So, but I have my own concerns, and I saw a little bit different also statistics from the different sources about this AI application in the architecture and engineering. I am a little bit skeptical about the amount of the things which we can do with actual version of the AI models, because generally we as the engineers, architects, people who are working in construction, we are used to deterministic way of the thinking and doing stuff. So we want to be sure that something which we design, it is actually what will happen. And all this probabilistic approach, like the AI approach, well, it's maybe if it's 95% good, even 99% good, well, for us, it's very often not enough. So we want to have 100%, although maybe it doesn't exist because we still have safety factors, and I know what probability is, but at least I think most of the people who are working in the construction, they want to have rather deterministic approach to the design. And what does it say in this graph? Actually, that we have a huge potential, but I think this report was created by somebody who don't have enough knowledge about what actually can be done and what cannot be done in the sector, because it could look from behind that a lot of things which you are right now doing can be really smoothly done by the AI agent. And I saw some startups right now which are claiming that they do, for example, speed up by twice the time of creating the conceptual design of the structure. But I think looking all of those small things, like the small things like or it's not really so small, but those local specification of the design. Sometimes a design which is 300 kilometers on south from actually where we are standing will have a completely different access to the different building materials. Maybe only the country which is just around the border have much different taxes for the building materials, and then each specific building material, it's better to use there. And all of those things, well, I think this part of the of the diagram which you are showing right now, Chris, it's also focusing on architecture and engineering, and it's showing like 80% or 90% of the probability of application of the AI. Yeah, on the other side of this graph, there is a construction. And then I think there is the quite small probability of even applying the AI there. It's something around 20%, if I remember.
No, I
correctly.
think it's I think even less than that.
Yeah. So, and take a look that we are designing, and they expect that we will implement a lot of AI. But on the other side, we are very strongly connected with the construction, which have zero potential or 20% potential of implementing AI. So I think maybe this percent in reality will be bigger if we will have a bigger amount of the robotization in the AEC. But until there is a human which will be calling us from the construction site and saying that something is wrong, he doesn't want to have the connection with the ChatGPT, which is saying, yeah, it's very good. Just do as you are saying. So it's complicated.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. But a really great talk about the differences between AAC sector. And now let's jump to the next topic: when to trust in AI outputs. How do we catch errors before it reaches our reports, documentation, and decision? I made this meme, and Sfera, maybe you can share some of your experience from your work. When can we trust actually the outputs of AI? Maybe you have some, as you gave us on the first point, guidelines about policy and privacy. So maybe you have also can share some experience here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And again, I don't know if trust is the right word, because I don't think we should blindly trust it in any sense, as long as we're the responsible engineers or architects or designers or whatever. Because if we start trust that, then why shouldn't our customer trust that? And then in the end, what's the need for us if they can make the same prompts, right? There should be some kind of professional expertise between the artificial AI models and the client. And I think right now, and it's, I mean, ChatGPT for 4.1, 4.25, and same with Claude. I mean, for every iteration and update, it's amazing to see how much better it gets. Also, when it comes to providing the correct facts, but it does still hallucinate. It does still make up things. So I don't think we should trust it. But I think the best way of using it, at least in my line of work, is this collection of data. It can read through, and it also has been trained of an immense amount of data. I mean, basically the entire internet at some point. And we can use that to investigate, to summarize, and we can use it as a discussion partner. I mean, like, give it some document specific contents that you want to read through, ask it for where you can find different parts, ask it for relevant other sources, literature that you can use. It's great for writing and documenting coding, which is also essentially language, because they are, after all, language models. So all of these reading, processing, creating language, they're brilliant. And I use it a lot, especially like being trained a structural engineer, and then you start working, and then suddenly you're in a project where there's some electrical engineering involved, and you're not familiar with all the standards there, and suddenly you have 1 week and you have to go through 10 standards to find some regulations and code requirements that you need to incorporate into your design. In those cases, AI is great. I mean, it can filter out, it can give you a lot of information. But once you have that and you're ready to start working, maybe it creates some kind of checklist for you. You should do this, 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 and this. Always reach out to a colleague or someone experienced. Is this what you would normally do? And also always check the sources. So if it gives you some kind of design code, some formula in the design code, some external references, make sure that it actually exists. It's really awkward to produce some kind of reference in your documentation report, and when people try to search it up, it's not there. And this is something that's happened. I mean, like a municipality in Norway actually did this. They made a report based on non-existing sources, and they listed them in their appendix and references, and it was a huge scandal. So this is things people actually do. So always check the sources. Make sure that the assumptions, the inputs, and the outputs are correct. Like I think last week I used it for discussing some partial factors for load cases, and it gave me some numbers that I really couldn't find in any standards or national appendices. But it's like it's not there, and it continues to claim that yes, it's there. You just have to look at this page on that in that table, but it's just not there. So make sure that everything that you include in your final report is something you actually seen with your own eyes, and that you're using the latest standard. Of course, maybe it was trained on the 2022 version of the standard, and now there's a 25 version, which it's not updated yet. So all of these nuances that you as a professional should know, just make sure that you do it. So an example here, I would never let it do the actual calculations for me. And I think Marcin also mentioned it being a language model. It's kind of a probability of putting together sentences. It's not a finite element model where there's a direct link between cause and effect, right? We cannot trace it through the entire process. So we cannot say at this step it failed due to that. That's really hard. So by all means, let it help you, guide you in the right direction. But when it comes to doing the actual work, I think you should do that yourself, or at least bare minimum double check with some hand calculations, because otherwise I think it's really embarrassing. And I have some examples that I've seen in projects doing like QA of others, external ones. I got this huge table, didn't have much time for reading through it. It looks really polished, of course. All AI generated context says perfect English, so it looks really professional, fluid, everything's fine. But then you start to look through like the assumptions of the report, and you look at the material tables, and there's some like 275 steel, 355 steel, and you just things that you would normally just assume are correct from previously, because that's something people copy paste from the standards, but now it's AI generated, and you start reading through the numbers and they're just completely wrong because the AI just populated them with some random numbers, right? Things like that doesn't look very good and professional. Using the wrong formulas, again, missing the local codes, as Marcin also said, producing the wrong answers, wrong conclusions. I also mentioned that previously. It can break your source control if you're not careful. I mean, one wrong prompt and your whole code can be gone. So use it for what it is, a great tool, a great assistant. And I think that's why we call it like coding assistant, assisting agent, assistant coded, whatever. Don't use it to do your work. I think that's the conclusion for that part.
And I think we have a really good summary of this chapter. You can trust it as much as a drunk sailor.
Yeah. They say a lot of great things, but yeah, you shouldn't take it for the answer. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks for that one. Let's go to the next topic, and let's go to you, Marcin. So, if AI can explain and generate the great code, what fundamentals do engineers still to learn, and what happens if they skip them? So, you are the professor at the Norwegian University, and maybe I can ask how changed your work and homeworks of your students in the AI world. What still is vital to learn for architects and engineers?
Well, I think it changed everything, especially in the Norway, because in Norway the tendency to always trust and a lot of to the student, and there were exams, of course, at the end of the semester, but not so many as I know from other universities in Europe. quite a lot of work was done through the reports. And unfortunately, with ChatGPT, since, as Sfera was saying, he's very good in writing, so this I have to give him that actually the style of formulating the report, positioning the text, of course the grammar, it's excellent. So all of those things based on the reports, right now all of the students almost always have 90% for the reporting. Also, till now in our department, we were also doing the master thesis only based on the report. We didn't make any presentation and oral examination of the master students. But we will get back into that way of doing stuff, because it was somewhere in the past as well like this. Because generally the ChatGPT, it's helping students in many ways, and we have to be sure that the quality of the students which are graduating the university, it's exactly on the same level. So, but of course, it has also a plus. Like, I am not a great enemy of the using AI in the learning process, especially in the learning process. But for the delivering the assignments, for the preparing for the, or maybe preparing for the exam is okay, but definitely the exams should be the vital thing of the education. Small task, big tasks, exams, everything where a student have to really show the knowledge which he has, and not the knowledge in prompting in AI. It's quite important thing which maybe we didn't touch till now in all this discussion about the AI. It's generally the responsibility. And responsibility of the ChatGPT, it's actually zero. If you will calculate anything, even if it will be correct, well, the responsibility of this AI model, it's equal to zero. Obviously, for us it's interesting only the failure. So when ChatGPT is giving us a wrong answer, and this is terrifying us, because obviously we have a quite big responsibility on our shoulders. We will not we will not get some ticket for the mistakes which we will do. We can go to jail, and what is more worse, we can generally kill somebody, and not one person, but plenty. So the decision which we are doing, we have to actually be 100% guaranteed that they are correct. And I see this in the students in the last years, the new generation, which is already quite well exposed to the AI, that they are coming, they know something, they are checking what I am saying constantly in the AI, which is also creating kind of the pressure on us teachers, because I am not smarter than the AI, meaning that I don't know more information than AI. AI definitely know more facts and equations than me. The problem is that the AI doesn't have the experience. Very often it's mistaken in using those equations, and also as Sfera was saying, also the results he's faking. Even today I was creating some PDF, and I asked him to create 1000 words about specific topic, because I wanted to read a little bit about that, and he produced 500, and I was asking about a little bit more, and he just repeated twice, like, and I say, okay, no, it's not exactly what I wanted to have, but well, although
but you are not dropping to teach all the students programming.
No, definitely not. And this is one story which I wanted to say, because right now this is a master thesis period. The students are working quite heavily on implementing the plugins in Grasshopper, because I am very often doing the master thesis through teaching them how to deliver for how to create a plugin for finite element method, or to work with the IFC, or to do something with the sustainability. So they should normally code quite a lot, but the young generation, the year now and the year before, I already see that they have been believing in the ChatGPT a little bit too much, and right now in the half of the semester they are saying, well, I stopped using ChatGPT because actually the code which is he giving to me for the Grasshopper, it's mostly like not saying it's generally a bullshit, like it's making a lot of mistakes. So I'm saying to him, yes, because you have to understand it's built on the statistics, on the forums, and actually our discipline, it's not extremely big, like in the sense of the statistics. We have maybe 1,000 people who are extremely good in coding, then we have 10,000 which is quite good in coding. But even this amount of the data and the forum discussions which those people are doing, and also this is one thing which probably we were discussing, I think one time, Chris, that because of using AI, the forums, like they a little bit go down with the number of the
question asked.
Yeah, so that's also something problematic, because then the AI doesn't have the source to learn how to code and how to solve some issues. So very often when you are coding in Grasshopper, he's giving you the answer from a version from 2020, and actually this is not working in the newest version. So the students already see it, but unfortunately they see it in the half of the semester, and for the half of the semester they are fighting with the ChatGPT to make the code for them, and now they see that the code doesn't work, so they are coming back and say, well, I need to learn a little bit more C# or Python because ChatGPT couldn't deliver for me the good code. And when I look at this code, I say, well, it's not so really difficult. You didn't have to ask ChatGPT. So it's very problematic. But I also see a huge potential, because generally, and I will just mention it because AI is giving you really this comfortable situation to ask as stupid question as possible, and you will not be open for the some kind of the hate or something which you are worrying about. So this is a super comfortable situation. But I think we have to, unfortunately, I'm thinking about the AI models in the engineering a little bit like about the social media for the kids. We should just really give a small access in the specific period of your education, because if you will give it too fast, unfortunately your progress will be maybe on the beginning very high, but then you will drop. So my thoughts are rather negative, especially on the beginning. And also probably you also Sverre and Chris have this feeling that if you don't know what you want, then the AI will not help you at all, because you can prompt something to do a small plugin for the Grasshopper, and if you cannot explain AI, ChatGPT, Codex, whatever AI agent you will use, he will just figure it something, and then he will execute. I was having one case when I asked him to calculate the intersection between two curves, and he, instead of using just the intersection from the curve IPI, from the curve intersection from Rhino IPI, he just started to create his own component to split two curves, and it was like calculating for 10 seconds this intersection, one intersection. So you still, at least in March 2026, I'm saying, well, you should still know programming, and you should know it quite well, and then use it.
Yeah, great words. And I make some summary of the talk that we've been discussing. Some rules. Don't ask AI to do something you can't do yourself, at least at the basic level. Verify everything that matters, especially anything that affects safety and approvals. As it was said, that we cannot trust, because sometimes it can be drunk sailor. And AI is a multiplier. If you're for example, programming skills are 0, the results should be still 0. And for this part, we complained a lot about AI, okay, how bad it is, but we have to admit that it helps us a little bit as engineers, and as Sverre said, it's a great assistant. And maybe we have more than 200 people live. If you can just write on the chat, what are you using AI for today? Maybe you can just write on the chat what is your best so far application of AI. Just write and share. And today we are going to share some our best, in our opinion, best choices application of AI. And we are not going to talk about, we are going to talk about just about engineering work. So we are not talking about AI tools for emails, generating slides, meeting summaries, making beautiful renders. It's not like proper engineering, like engineering work, because we have like more than 1,600 AI apps that can work, or maybe sometimes they pretend that they AI. So today we are going to talk about practical applications. So let's start with your demo, Sverre, where we're going to talk a little bit about vibe coding and generating documentation.
Yeah, sure. So it's always fun to make examples for this webinar, because then in the evenings or weekends I can take a step back from my everyday work and look at what bores me at work, and how can I solve that, and I get some time dedicated for this. And one thing that bores me, apart from emails and presentations, but I think better not to do them than make AI do them at all, is the documentation. I mean, I love to do the calculations, but I don't like to write the documentation, especially with if you're trying to automate something, and then someone comes and asks you, but did you have the PDF or Word report? So you create this amazing pipeline from your IFC file to FemDesign to some calculation checks in Python, and then you want the Word report, right? You made a Jupyter notebook, for instance, which I know a lot of people use. So there is one tool called Mist Markdown, which it's intended for writing like scientific articles, for instance, where you work in a Python environment, so Jupyter notebooks, which is perfect place to start for beginners. So you kind of have your, and I will show later, you have some text cells and you have some code cells, and you kind of intermix them so you can have some documentation, some plain text, then you have your code, and then you can have some more text describing what you can do with that. And you can also export that to PDFs or HTML, but it's not always very nice. But this Mist Markdown tries to solve that. So it's both for creating web pages, static web pages, or executable ones. But it also has this feature where you can take your notebook or your project and just export it with a single line into PDFs or Word documents. So I wanted to create using vibe coding, or I like the term AI assisted coding better, to generate one of these projects for something that I actually use sometimes. And normally we have standalone apps which are licensed for doing these kind of small calculations, be it like the foundation, like footings of columns, doing small reinforcement tasks with those, simple beam equations, punching shear in columns or on slabs from columns. A lot of these small things that I try to do in Python instead. And this Mist Markdown can help me also generate the documentation that I need for my colleagues and for the reports automatically without me having to spend a second on it once the template is set up. And it's using a LaTeX backend, so I can make a LaTeX template and then just export whatever format I want. So what I'm trying to do here is I first create some Copilot instructions, just a plain Markdown file telling it what I want to do, which software I'm using, which tools I'm using, how I want the code to look, how I want to organize the structure. And again, to do that, you need some basic knowledge of programming. And then throughout the whole process, I'll try to not to write any lines of code. Everything is created by the Copilot agent. I'm just prompting it, redirecting it whenever I find something that I don't like. And I think I estimate I saved maybe 4-5 hours of work compared to doing this myself, which again can be spent on making it better and doing the calculations and designing better structures. So I can play it, start really quickly, and I think it can go on in the background. We can discuss a little bit if there are any questions. But here you see the first thing, which is just creating that Copilot instruction file. So essentially just telling it how I want this project to look. And this is about giving it context because it has so much information, the agents, that narrowing it down can really improve your results, specifying how it should look, from what kind of documentation style you want, to formatting of Python code, etc. And as Martin said, instead of it trying to create a whole new function for something which already exists, you can kind of already here steer it into using those existing packages. And then once I have that, I start prompting. So the first thing I want to do is, and here I started from completely blank, actually Linux installation. So just to have everything blank, I just have installed Python on it. That's it. And I ask it to create my environment and local folder with all the packages necessary, etc. And I'm using the plan mode to do this kind of stuff because it gives it's reasoning much more. It spends a little bit more time, but I can read through the plan, I can redirect it, and then once I'm ready, I can start implementing it. And once I'm doing that, that's also a small trick, because if you're using a lot of agents, you will notice that your tokens quickly runs out. So I'm normally using a higher rated model or agent when I'm doing this planning. And for the implementation itself, when all the reasoning is done, I go down to the cheaper models, because then it's more about just writing code and not so much reasoning. And once I have something, I try to do everything step by step. So instead of doing the whole project in one prompt, I try to first build a skeleton, verify that that is working. And normally there will be some kind of small errors. Maybe it wasn't completely clear in my prompt. Maybe it misinterpreted something. So I need to guide it a little bit. Adding some documentation, for instance, online. And this missed markdown is actually a really good example because it's not that much documentation online for it to train on. So quite some time I had to actually give it, and you can give it a website, which you can read the HTML of. And then as soon as it gets that, it produces much better results with something that it's actually working, not something that it's guessing will work. So again, I have to give it some guides as to how it should start running it. And here, for instance, it creates this amazing setup, but it didn't know that it had to activate my local environment. So kind of it's really good on one end, and then it's completely stupid the next second, right? So, but then again, you need to know what to do and what to ask for in order for this to work. Or if you didn't know any programming, you would probably be stuck here just repeating some prompts, and it wouldn't get any further. And if you get some errors, you can just copy from the terminal. You can even paste images, which is quite cool, of your code. If you try to generate a plot, for instance, you can just take a snippet of the image and say, I wanted my y-axis to have a logarithmic scale, for instance. Why isn't it showing? Paste the image, and it will actually work most of the time. So here you see I have a working HTML page written or created just from some markdown files, which is really cool. And I also want to set up the PDF export function. And here I forgot to install LaTeX, which you need on the machine. And this is something when I tried this, I think for two years ago, for the first time, I really spent a lot of time trying to find the right LaTeX installation to install on my computer, getting everything to work. But here, the agent just recognizes, looking at my installation, that it's missing, suggesting what to install, installing it, and then it's working. It's quite a big file to download, so it takes some time, but it figures it out, which again saves you probably a couple of hours of work if you never installed that package before.
Sverre, can we go to the results of this coding? What will be the
Yeah, sure. So here you see a PDF, just a basic one. And after I write that, at the end, I create a notebook. So a Jupyter notebook. So here I can actually do my calculations, which is what most people. I mean, if you're new to Python, this is normally how you would start with text-based programming. So here you have some text, you do some calculations, you print it. It looks quite nice, but it's not what people who doesn't know programming at all wants. So this is kind of the interface for me when I'm doing my calculations, in this case, the punching share reinforcement. But then I can also just, from the terminal, I think I have it here. You see here I have my web page, just preview in VS Code. But this is an interactive web page, so you can host that as a static web page, and people can read your report as a web page, and you can also just, with a single command line, export it to PDF, and it will be dynamic. So whenever I change my forces, for instance, because something's changed, I just rerun the script, re-export the PDF, everything is up to date, everything looks nice. You can add your company logo. I mean, this is again plain LaTeX templates. You can add your company logos, project numbers, dates, names, contact information, etc. And there's a lot of cool templates available that you can just use straight off the bat. And again, achieve this zero code writing, just prompting.
That looks really impressive, and especially that you can reuse that for other projects really quickly, right? When you create once.
Once you have that set up, I can just create kind of new notebooks for different kind of checks, which is, I think, really powerful.
Perfect. Okay, we can jump to another example. Thanks for this this presentation. We can jump to the next topic, which is MCP in tools. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So for those who are first time seeing this short name, it's like a bridge between AI assistant and your computer. So actually MCP can see all the exact 3D model you are working on and understand the context. So for example, there are several examples. One of them is example done by Marco Peregrini from Strusoft of the FEM design. So they created like a MCP model for FEM design. It's a finite element method software made by Strusoft. So we can see on the left side we have FEM design open. On the top right we have MCP, and we are saying just with the text that I have an Excel file with the Excel opened, and with a series of load cases, can you create them in FEM design? So this assistance will go through, first we'll open the Excel spreadsheet, will recognize all the rows, all the load cases that are specified in the Excel, and then it will execute all the commands in the FEM design API. In this case, it's a Python is used. So after just one prompt, and we were going to the load cases. So load cases will be generated as it was stated in the Excel spreadsheet. So there are, this is really just a start, but I can see better, like more and more great examples how we use this AI assistant. Vitaly Manson, he created a chatbot assistant with the DeepSeek into Tekla structures. Here was the prompt: select the walls that have length less than 2 meters. So it was selected and compare them. Then you can create the prompt: now filter the walls that have weight less than 2 tons and mark them with the red, then mark the rest with the green color. And as it was with made the same with the FEM design, it will connect with Tekla API, execute write commands, and will select and mark all the elements. And you can just discuss with your models. And there is also some great examples about Revit. It's not only for 3D modeling, not only for load cases, but you can also, like in this example, talk about PDF marks and put them automatically into your Revit. The same, your assistant. So right now, this is a simple tasks, that simple examples, but as we can see the progress of AI and chatbots, it will be more and more beneficial to create your own chatbots. So this was about MCP. And let's go to the last examples. Marcin, if you can maybe share your screen, so maybe we can jump into data analysis, because this is where AI can really do crazy stuff.
Yeah. Do you hear me? Is it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you, and yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah, very good. So I will start. I will try to be as quick as possible in explanation all of the things, because I could talk about the AI, probably Sfera and you the same quite a long for quite a long time. The thing is that exactly the same question which I was pointing out on the beginning, why we want AI. And one of the things is that we just want to analyze a lot of things which we would not be able to analyze without artificial intelligence. So it should be our assistant. So actually here we have a building in which we want to apply the genetic optimization, which is choosing the best location for the columns, where well, it's not complicated thing to do. You're just using even the Galapagos to run those analyses, and then after some iterations you have the correct result. But probably already, if you have been coding it, you know that the problem is very often not to create a database of the results, but to analyze it. And then actually, this is one of the projects which I was working recently. It's just I created this artificial design much more simpler than we actually designed, just for purpose of this presentation. I couldn't share the real case building because obviously we have the copyrights, and I should ask a lot of people to be able to show it for you. But I just create a small building in the specific neighborhood, put it into the speckle intelligence, and then here I create a small dashboard which is generally able to analyze this, and it will show you the potential of applying those AI agents in the AEC sector. So actually here we see that we are able to create some kind of the dashboard which will help us to analyze what is what, like how many elements it's with what kind of the emissions, what is the price of some of the elements. So for example, here I was asking him to take the elements which have the emission below 12,000 of the CO2. So he was showing me that the slabs are the biggest CO2 emitter in this system. So this is actually something which can be done already right now. Also, when it comes, and it's for me, it was quite amazing, in fact, that I can just prompt in what kind of the scenario I would like to have the visualization, and he will make this render for me. Actually, the speckle intelligence can do it quite quick and quite in a quite interesting way. But the whole point of showing you this speckle intelligence, it's about exactly the same thing which Chris was saying a second ago, that we want to extract the data, and we generally use these AI agents quite often to extract the data and to modify this data. Although we were saying that maybe modifying the data, it's quite dangerous with the AI agents, the extracting of the data, it's a little bit better, because for the analyzing the existing data format, although I would be a little bit more skeptic, but it's still possible. For example, if you have a PDF with the building information, you would like to extract the data, I would double check it, but definitely I would use it to do it. What is even better, I would do similar thing which Sfera did. So he used AI to create a more deterministic approach. So to build a software which is doing it with 100% guarantee it will be done properly. All those things connected with the extracting the data, analyzing the data, AI, it's really helpful. It becomes like the really assistant of the designer, but I don't think he can substitute it, at least at this stage, the engineer in even 20%. It's just helping us to analyze, but it will not do the analysis or design for us. So this is actually what we have in the market. The other aspect, it's generally what we are doing for the research, and which I would like to share with you. It's that, okay, how to train the AI, so-called, some neural networks, some machine learning, some deep learning, to do a more let's say interesting design, conceptual design. So here you see completely random trust systems with some specific deformation. So we again implemented genetic optimization, which is a part of the AI, together with the clustering. This clustering was judging if each of those structures have a similar outcome. Meaning, if we would be an architect or architect designing a truss for a sport hall, we would like to have 5 options, 5 exactly the same good or roughly the same good, but with the different architectural appearance. So in this case, we have here 5 or 6 different appearance, and he is trying to optimize it. And on the left and right in the rows, here with the bigger zoom, you see the generation 0, which is completely random. And then you are going to the generation 100. After 100 generations from those random structures, he's trying to get those kinds of the systems which are quite close to the feasible structures. Those kinds of the thinking and the algorithms we are also trying to implement in the 3D. To try here, it's completely random. First generation, and he is the 50 or I think 50 generation after the optimization. So you see that the trusses are start to become something like a truss which we recognize and which could be done by the human. The next thing which I would like to briefly talk about, it's very strongly connected with what I was talking when it was about the sharing of the data. Okay, we can share the data, but a lot of those data are missing something. So the deep learning algorithm, convolutional neural networks, are helping us to fill some part of the semantic data, or for example, based on the geometry, it's building the missing data and it's filling it in, for example, the IFC standard. So actually, when we are working with the machine learning, with the deep learning, with the AI, it doesn't look that, of course, we are very often using AI agents like the ChatGPT cloud to code it, but actually we are training our own neural networks, and this is as a system of one of the neural networks created at our university, and this is actually the probability of the success of recognizing the IFC element. So generally we were giving him the input from, for example, Grasshopper. You are drawing something, and he was automatically guessing what kind of the IFC category it is and what kind of the data you should put to make it a full functional IFC element. Well, so we want to create a pipeline between the IFC to the finite element method to automate it as much as possible. And here actually you see the IFC model, one of the basic IFC models which you can download from Building Smart webpage, and we analyze it with neural network to guess where is the location of the axis system of the beams and columns. So generally we create a system which from the pure geometry, it's guessing where is actually the axis line and how to connect those axis lines into a specific model. So at the end, we have a model which we can just input to the FEM design. So those are those cases, examples, which I want to share with you. Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. Maybe we presented 4 examples. In our opinion, the best application of AI for, as Marcin said, for March 2026. Maybe if you are going to watch that later, so maybe it will be different and maybe they will be more spectacular. Most of you, when I ask it, use it for data extraction, for the connection extraction of the spreadsheet, for the reinforcement and estimates. Maybe you can write on the chat what of these 4, maybe adding number 5 of data extraction will be beneficial for you. And maybe you will also realize that all these examples which we showed you have something into common, that when it comes to vibe coding, creating your own MCP bots, or creating documentation, or even data analysis, everything something connected with the programming. So all the examples that are for today, as we already discussed, the AI tools are amazing for code generation and for helping us out to create better code. So that in this way, we can jump to our 3rd topic. So guys, just give me 10 minutes. So I will show the program that we've been creating for last years, and I'm happy to show you more the details, because we are coming back with the programming in the AEC training. So after 16 months, we are opening doors again. Both Marcin and Sfera are really busy engineers with lots of work at the university, at the companies and family. But now we are finally open again for programming in architecture, engineering, and construction. And we will help you to transform your engineering work into fun with programming in the AEC industry. So what we are doing will help you to become limitless, become engineer for zero. So what we are helping engineers on our learning platform is to transformation into engineer for zero. And what does it mean? So get ready for all this AI revolution. As we showed you, all of the examples show that learning coding basics really still matters. And as Marcin said, he's not dropping teaching students at the technical university because of AI. Actually, it's getting more and more popular, and more fundamentals are still vital. Second thing, with programming, you can automate all the manual tasks in your project. So you can create your own tools, so you don't have to depend on the software that you are using. So actually, you can extend possibilities of the software you are using, or build your own one and have much fun at work. And third one, learning programming as an engineer. It's also give you a possibility for the exciting career path as a computational designer. So as we can see, there are more and more job offers where programming, Grasshopper, Python, or C# are becoming as a baseline. So we are teaching 3 of us. Actually, I'm happy that I have teamed up together with Marcin and Sfera. So we make 3 trainings that make the whole path of becoming engineer for zero. So the whole program is called Programming in Architecture, Engineering, Construction, and it contains of 3 trainings. We start with Grasshopper Fundamentals, where we start with computational thinking process. We show one of the best tools in architecture, engineering, construction industry to connect all the different softwares. And then we are teaching more text-based programming inside Grasshopper environment, and then going outside Grasshopper environment and build your own tools. So what is programming in AEC? So first of all, it's a self-paced online training. So you are going to get a login and password to the platform, and you can watch it whenever you have time. It's a practical knowledge and examples from AEC sector. So we are working with different structures. We have building examples, we have bridges, we have retaining walls, we have terrains. So everything that is connected with the AEC sector. And what is really important is made by experience training, both engineers, but also experience in academic, like giving academic lectures. I think it's really, really important. So far, we have gathered on our platform more than 3,600 professionals. And one of the things why it's so popular is because we are teaching by doing. So you are learning by doing, not just watching tutorials. So together, we have created more than 500 practical exercises. So every single time, if you are going to solve the exercise, is done in programmed Grasshopper. So actually you have to solve the exercise, go to get points, and unlock the next password. So it's really gamified process to get levels, new levels, and go to new exercises. We got in this 2 previous editions, we got great recommendations. Actually, all of the biggest companies join our training program. We have more than 400 companies that join our learning platform, and students with the engineering industry, working with railway as Anna. We have also Guillermo from McNeil, who went through the training, and more recommendation of bridge designers, geotechnical engineers, and road engineers. So you can read all the recommendation on the website. So when does the programming in AEC fundamentals training starts? Actually, it starts today. We are opening the doors, and all modules and lessons will be available right after joining. So you don't have to wait. All the lessons and all the modules will be available for you for all the free training, and you get lifetime access to the platform together with the future updates. So it's really important. I will underline that you are getting lifetime access. If you don't have time to do it right now, you can do it later, because we can secure spot for you. So as I said, it's a self-paced training. We have more than 60 hours of video lessons. Video lessons are designed for busy engineers. So the maximum video length is about 20 minutes. And after that, you have to do exercise in programmed Grasshopper, which will tell you if you've done this correctly or not. Video examples are available on the programming web page as well. As I said, practical examples, we have homeworks, we have closed Discord forum, which me, Marcin, and Sfere are answering all the questions. So if you, whatever you will stuck, you can ask your question on the forum, and we will be happy to assist you. Agenda for every single training will be available. We are going to send the link of you after this webinar. You can go through detailed and every single lesson. For every single edition, we are adding new bonus materials. We are extending our training. So after going through fundamentals, we are giving you additional lessons. So for example, it's introduction to Revit and Tekla Open API, how to use Python in Revit or C# in Tekla. We have also intro to Visual Studio, how to go outside Grasshopper environment and build your own tools. We have lessons about building your web application with the tool called Victor AI and Python. We have also lessons about Rhino and Grasshopper and new script editor, how to use, for example, C, Python, and all the new libraries. As Sfere showed today, we also showing how to create your own documentation and reports with Jupyter in this example. For structure design, we have lessons about Karamba and using structural codes. Marcin showed Speckle today and Speckle Intelligence. We are also showing how to access Speckle with C# and build your own tools on top of that. More than that, we're also showing how to use AI tools in Grasshopper to generate your own calls as a Raven plugin. And also for everyone working with Beam, we are also showing how to turn Rhino and Grasshopper into Beam machine, how to write your own plugins or use the existing ones. One really important thing about zero risk, our goal is your satisfaction. So you can go actually through all the lessons, watch it in 30 days, and we can guarantee the return of your 100% money if you feel that this training do not meet your expectation, without giving any reasons for that. If you will decide after joining, you have 30 days to test it as much as you can. As I said, you can do all the exercises, all the videos, and if you will decide that you don't like this training, you can get the 100% money back. All the fees are on our cost. And the price, normally these free trainings are priced on 2,997 euro. It's 3 times 999 euro, but we have the sales since we are opening the doors again. And this edition is expensive than the previous one, and it costs is you can make a installment payments 3 times 299 euro, or make a one payment of 897 euro and get lifetime access to all the free trainings. If you count this, if you divide it by the number days of studying, it's just a 5 euros. So sometimes we spend really much more on a beer in the bar. And really important, offer is valid until Thursday, 26th of March until 9 p.m. Central European time. So we have this closed recruitment. We would like to close this group and start to learning together. And next edition, we are not planning, for sure, not in next 18 months. Guys are too busy to support all of you in the next editions. And for sure, it will be not cheaper. We are adding a lot of value with every single edition. And really often engineers ask if company can buy this training for them. Of course, company should invest in your future. We have prepared a one-pager for you. I will share the details. So company can give you an access, and for 7 licenses, you can get 1 more extra. On the selling page, you can find a quiz. A test is just 8 questions you can answer, and this test will guide you what will be the best trainings for you based on your expectation or on your software that you are using. So you can adjust it to your needs. On the webpage, we have different offers. So for example, if you already know Grasshopper, you can just join Python and C# as a bundle. It's also better price. If you would like to only focus on Python and you are new to programming, so we recommend, for example, Grasshopper plus Python package, and the same goes for the C#. So you can check it out on the website. So to summarize, programming in AAC Fundamentals is a self-paced training where we teach you programming, so you can become limitless and become engineer for zero. You get lifetime access to all the updates, all the practical examples, and all the bonuses that will be now and in the future. So now we are opening the doors. I'm going to paste the website where you can find more examples, demo lessons, exercises, and if you have any questions, please let us know, and let's join. We can go to Sfera and Marcin So I'm going to add them to stage. So maybe we can answer some of your questions. We'll be happy. I just marked from the session some of the questions that we can discuss. So I shared the link to programminginaac.com, and this offer is valid about 10 days until Thursday, 26th of March. All right, let's jump to some questions about. Thanks from John. Thanks for discussion. Was nice to hear how other engineers use LLMs. I call them word calculators. Maybe this one. How does AI helps to integrating with SAP 2000, ETAPS, Robot, RFM, and Axis VM? So maybe Marcin, you have the experience on connecting to different finite element software, so maybe you can answer that one.
Yeah, but my answer will be quite short. You can build with the AI a tool which is just exporting, and the one of the tools which I was showing at the end of the video, which is generally analyzing the geometry and creating the analytical model. It's one of the possible application. But when it comes to the AI agent, meaning the large language model which you are using and speaking to, I think sometimes people are overestimating it, and I think sometimes it's just easier to click on the element and check it results instead of prompting give me the result for the beam somewhere in the back of the building. I think it would take a little bit more time than just clicking on it. So I think integration between IFC and FM software, it's a crucial thing. We are wasting a lot of time right now to build those finite element models, no matter if it's ETAPS, Robot, RFM. Most of those systems have their own internal data format, which we can just hack with the AI and just create those systems. So.
Sorry, we have the continuation of it. I can already use Grasshopper for that, isn't it? Why use AI?
Well, if you can do it with a different way, well, maybe then the AI is not needed. No, nobody is saying you have to use AI. So if you can use the Grasshopper, that's very good.
But sometimes we know that visual programming can also reach their own limits, and sometimes going outside with the text-based programming languages as C#, our performance is much more better.
Yeah, but also from this talk, I think everybody has spotted that me and Sverre are a little bit skeptic to the application of the AI to everything. So we also pointed out that there are some major issues with the large language models, and I'm not sure if it's suited for all of the tasks which we actually are doing right now.
Sverre, question to you. You said that you use an expensive AI to plan a code, then use a cheaper version to build the code itself. I tried the same method some days ago with the Claude Code and Gemini 2.5. Can you name them?
The models I use? So normally, I mean, right now, I think there are, for Claude at least, we're kind of 3 tiers. You have like the Opus models, which are the most expensive one. I think 4.6 is the latest one. And then you have the Sonnet, which is kind of the regular priced or cost of tokens, because you normally pay per token, and then the Opus, I think, is 3 times as expensive as the Sonnet. And then you have this Claude Haiku, which is these smaller language models, which are 0.33 of Sonnet again. So if I'm doing something that I know it's important, it might be difficult, I want to spend some time on it, Then I normally go to the Opus, which is the most expensive one, as showed in the plan mode. But I think it's a waste of tokens to use that to implement something that, say, lesser or more stupid model can do just as good. So then I try to change the model in the chat before implementation. So then I use a cheaper one, which could also be faster sometimes because it's just implementing code. And you don't need that much power to do that most of the time. So that's just a small trick to save up on tokens. Don't spend them all the first week of a new month.
Cool. Let me see. I will go to more question. I think we had the one from Daniel about the discussion about privacy. GitHub Copilot and similar AI in VS Code can access environmental contents unless blocked. The only official way to stop this is content exclusion, available only with Copilot Business or Enterprise. Have you been aware of that?
I don't think if you store them like in an Azure Key Vault, I don't think they can access that. I think then they need the credentials to access it. That would really surprise me if they could access a Key Vault, unless you kind of give them explicit access. I mean, I can access so from the CLI, I can log into my Azure portal online and they can start fetching data, but I have to kind of approve that login procedure. So I don't think you need Copilot Business or Enterprise to safely store those tokens away. Also, unless it means because if the environment files are in your local machine. So normally when you set up these Copilot engines, they have access to your folder. And if you want to read something outside of that folder, you also granted access to that. But then, of course, if you do that, they should access it. But I don't think by default they just go and read different files. Especially if you do the key vaults. That's kind of the enterprise way of doing it.
Yeah. Marcin, question: how long realistically does it take to reach a working professional level, whatever it means, in using AI for structural engineering? You have maybe, because we are talking about like learning programming, and let's say that you would like to use tools or create tools that we have shown today, like the first four examples, and base your experience as an academic lecturer, how much time does it take?
Well, I have to say it depends. It depends on the student. It depends on the task. But the big question, or in this comment, I see it is the working professional level in using AI. I don't think we can measure it anyhow, because using AI will evolve, and something which I am using AI completely differently now than 1 year ago, and also probably in 1 year from now, maybe the way how we are prompting and how we are asking for the code, it will be completely different. The thing is that if you're asking me about the professional level of the competence in the programming to be able to work with the AI, I think you have to have intermediate / very good knowledge about programming to be using AI in a smart way. It means that you should be able to understand the main concept of the objective programming, about using classes, how the classes are working, and how to make your own function methods. Maybe a part of the like the hierarchization in programming, but generally for the even a basic knowledge / intermediate will give you much bigger chance of creating something useful with the AI. Knowing nothing, as you were pointing out, Chris, if you know nothing, the AI is multiplying it. So you still don't know nothing.
And that's why, and that's why we started this programming in ASC training, because this is where go in depth in the fundamentals, and we really laying this foundation for your future.
Yeah, just to mention,
Mhm.
because I think that the same person asked previously about, or maybe the previous question about this finite element application from the Grasshopper.
Correct.
Well, the codes from the Grasshopper has quite a big limitation in the performance. Something which we can do with the programming will be a little bit faster. So if you want to make more robust codes faster in the performance, I would jump into the coding straight away. So also, of course, I know Grasshopper. Sfera knows Grasshopper. You, Chris, know Grasshopper. But we know when the code is looking like a spaghetti, then probably it's the time to jump to the programming. So,
But we also recommend also starting with Grasshopper, because it's
yes.
the easiest way to use it at your work. Because sometimes when you just will start with Python or C# and you will not feel this connection to, for example, tools that you are using for finite element software, or to Revit or to Tekla or whatever software, Grasshopper has the biggest chances that has the access to it, the easiest access. So that's why using with context play a significant role in the way of learning. Next question.
I would just say that the visual programming, so the Grasshopper style of the programming, it's the biggest the best introduction into the programming. At least in my opinion, there is nothing comparable to that. Because if you will go for the pure programming, there is a lot of theoretical aspects which you really don't have to know, and still create a value for the especially our sector, which needs to really a specific part of the programming. We are not interested in a lot of things which for the informatics will be crucial things, but we are living in our own bubble. So
we are a little bit biased, by the way.
yeah.
Beyond simple code generation, can you give an example of how AI has acted as an ideal partner or helped solve a complex system level problem?
Well, I can try to answer that a little bit, and probably Sfera also can try to help me with that. But AI, it's generally helping in extracting the data, sorting the data roughly. If you will go into really specific numbers, I would not trust it so much. But there are tools. There are tools like the Autodesk Forma, which was previously SpaceMaker, which is allowing you to analyze extreme amount of the possible situation in the conceptual designing. And I think it's uncomparable to something which you would do manually. I remember 10, 15 years ago when we were designing a building, we were maybe investigating 3, 4, 5 different concepts, and we didn't have time for more of them. With the parametric programming, with the introduction of the Grasshopper, Caramba, all those stuff connected with the parameterization of the model, suddenly we could analyze around 100 possible situation in the concept design with really primitive load conditions. AI, I think, can really pump it up, and we can go into much bigger space in which we are investigating different boundary conditions and different outcomes of the conceptual design.
Sfera, would you like to add something?
No, I agree with Martin. I think also differentiating between these kind of language models, which are more like I think maybe most people's idea of AI, and what Martin says, these exploring conceptual design, Caramba, SpaceMaker, which is kind of, you still have to define your design space, but it helps you investigate within that range. And maybe, I'm not sure if I understand the question completely, but as an idea partner, especially in that early phase, you kind of, for me, it's getting over that blank page syndrome, that you're kind of where to start. It can give you some clues, or your team some clues, and you start investigating. You can ask for references. You provide some ideas, you get some critiques, maybe find similar projects. So especially in the beginning, just gather data, help it filter out noise, and then you can start working and narrowing your way down to more something, say, solid or graspable.
Perfect. Next question. Hi, thanks for your presentation. Will the course be beneficial for someone that is a drafter, not an actual construction engineer? I would like to diversify the services I offer as a freelancer. In my opinion, is one of the best way to start, because when it comes to Grasshopper, as we already said, is incredibly good with the geometry and automation there. Whatever, if you are working with the NURBS, if you are working with the 3D meshes, or B-Wraps, it's an incredible, great point to start, especially if you are working with drawings. And this is what we are showing, specifically in the first phase of the learning inside Grasshopper, but also using geometry engines from Python can also give a lot of value. Sverre, would you like to add something to this comment?
I think drafting as well. Yeah, there's a lot of parametric design possibilities in drafting and programming. So just creating the drawings themselves, to renumbering, organizing. I think if you can think of something that can be automated, or think of something that you do repeatedly a lot of times, I'm sure that's present in drafting also, then definitely programming can help you out.
And for sure, like Grasshopper has also great connections with Tekla and Revit, and also with AutoCAD. Not many knows that you have also plugin to connect Grasshopper with AutoCAD. So you actually can automate drawings in AutoCAD, Revit, and Tekla with Grasshopper. So yeah, I can definitely recommend for drafters this training as well. Let me see. More questions.
I would just maybe add that through the course we are going through many different geometrical types. So if you are a drafter and you don't have so big experience about the construction engineering, it doesn't cost you anything. We are going through the geometry description. We are trying to explain what is what, how to use the specific geometry, and how to work with this geometry. So it's not that we are starting with the differential equation and trying to code it. We are rather practicals. So I think it's definitely for the people like you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. The price is so high for people from Africa, unfortunately. Yeah, we are aware of that. We try to find the best price for people from Scandinavia, Middle East, Africa, and America. Please reach out. We have lots of free materials I can send you and share. You can just write to me, chris@learngrasshopper.com, and for sure you can start right away. Do not delay your learning process because of the money. We produce lots of free learning materials, so reach out and we'll be happy to share more examples that you can start right away. What level of mathematics is required? Are there any pre-requirements? Sverre, maybe you can answer that one.
No, I would say no. Like, just common sense, I think, is sufficient. We don't require any like university level of mathematics for this program. If there's something you don't understand, like mathematically, you can still solve the exercises. And I think, especially since it's inside Grasshopper, all of the programming, it's really it gives you a better understanding because you can visualize it, so maybe you can even learn some mathematics while doing it.
Yeah, and we are also having all of the trainings are from basics, from scratch. We are starting with fundamentals, so we are starting with explaining what is a point, what is a vector, what is the moving along the vector, how to create planes, what is a plane. So a little bit not maybe more about mathematics, it's about understanding about 3D concepts, it will be really beneficial. But I think like all of architects and engineers should have this 3D perspective and visualization in your head. So as I can confirm, there is no requirements about mathematics. Do you provide hands-on support for installation, plugin selection, and initial workflow setup? Marcin.
Yeah, I think we are showing quite. We have a quite dedicated part about even installing the Visual Studio and how to make the plugin, because you have to remember that most part of the course for the C# and Python, it's inside the Grasshopper, so you don't have to install anything. We are of course showing how to install the dedicated libraries, packages, and stuff like that, but also we have a special extra materials just about creating a Visual Studio, so you can create a fully standalone plugin, like for example Speckle plugin, like Caramba plugin. So those kinds of the things we are showing you from the beginning till the end how to do.
Yeah. Thank you for all the interesting information. How about Archicad users? So yeah, Grasshopper has a connection to Archicad. You can also integrate it with Speckle, which I heard from Archicad user is even better than the native plugin to Archicad. And for example, Marcin is showing how to connect with the Speckle with C#. So you can also integrate with Archicad. And yeah, do we have a Python API? No, we are not focusing on Archicad. Actually, I'm planning to do some webinars and workshops. I'm already talking with Archicad suppliers, so maybe there will be some new materials about Grasshopper and Python integration on Learn Grasshopper Lives. What else? We have just a couple of minutes. We are finishing exactly at 4 p.m. So just last questions. So I will just scroll a little bit for the more questions. If we missed your question, please just write on the chat, and we will be happy to answer that. For those who missed that, after the presentation, we opened the doors after 16 months again for programming in AAC fundamentals training on the programminginaac.com. You can find out how the lessons are structured, how the agenda looks like, and all the examples of the videos, how the training is structures. So on the website, you will see that there are different bundle offers, and you can make a quiz, a test there to make the best choice based on the software that you are using right now and your expectation for learning programming in AAC. All right, I do not see, we will wait 2 more minutes. I found one question. If AI performance is weaker in architecture and engineering, I think it was comment about why AI is not working as good as in other sectors. What safeguards or validation layer does Anthropic recommend before integrating AI into regulated engineering workflows like water projects? Oh, it's really, really hard one. And we discussed with Sfera, if there will be a hard question, we are giving it to Marcin.
Well, can you show the question again on the screen?
Is it about that report?
Well, I think I will not dare to answer this question, but
yeah, like every discipline is specific, and if you are going more narrow in your domain, it will be general harder because of the of course, AI has to have a data to learn from. But yeah, maybe the answer would be like you can create your own like a local tools based on your knowledge. Like you provide everything if you have specific topic.
Well, I can just mention that even in the university, when we, because we also have research projects, we are cooperating also with the automotive industry in our structural engineering department, and to be able to work with them, we generally have to buy a server for internal usage of the tools. Well, if you have really a problem with the policy, then generally the investment into the internal system, it's probably the only solution.
Have you ever experimented with Grok? Grok is a tool from Elon Musk, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one
it is.
addressing people. So no comment.
Aggressive one.
No, I do
You
not
can ask
see.
him for
I
the
do not
comment.
see.
So
Yeah, maybe here to just ban people with the comment. No, we do not see any best application of Grok in our industry. All right. Thank you very much again, guys, for great talk. It was really pleasure. I think really necessary to talk beyond this hype which we are having on the industry and in general. On the LinkedIn, we can see just super use cases of using AI. Just with one click, you can design our building. We can say with 99% that it's not true. And still there's a lot of work to do. Engineers are still needed, but the one thing that we are for sure that AI will not going to replace engineers, but engineers with coding skills are going to replace other engineers in the future. So we are in this phase that you have to connect the worlds. Of course, be good at your engineering, but also getting new skills of programming and automation will give you better value. Do you have any like last comments, Sfera, before we are closing about in general topic AI programming?
Try it out. I think keep privacy in mind and try it out. It's really a great tool if you use it correctly.
Marcin?
Well, you should try it out, but you should have first the programming skills. So I recommend you to first train, then use it. It's completely, and then you can compare the experience. But I think you will see the difference. So
yeah, that good summary. So really recommend joining us. It's a lot of fun. We really can recommend this training. And we can also guarantee that it will be a lot of fun doing that, learning. And as I said, we have 30 days policy. If you will see that it's not fun, it's too hard, so you can return the product and get all money back. Thank you guys for lots of good talk. Thank you. Lots of good comments as always. Thank you very much. Thank you. 4 p.m. Central European time. That's exactly what is planned as in our training. Okay, cool. Thank you guys, and see you next week. See you next one. Next week we are going to discuss Python or C#. So maybe for those who are interested, which one to choose for what. So we are going to show more practical examples. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.